and gentlemen, this is Jeff Rains coming to you again with Foundation of Civilization and Our Changing World. And it is that time of the week again. I am coming to you to go over the stories that I find the most intriguing this week. And I'm certain to cover a bunch of good stuff, but there is also a bunch of things that I'm probably not going to be able to get to. I got a limited amount of time to do this, so it is October 4th, 2025. And first I want to let you know that I have something for you, and hopefully it will help me fund this addiction of mine of bringing you the news. Years ago I wrote a book, a novel, called A Twisted Trade. It's about the slave trade. I've gotten it turned into an audiobook, and I want to thank my narrator, Jerome Ferguson. I think he did a great job. I'll give a description at the end of this video so you can know more about it, and I'll have a link in the description so if you're interested in purchasing it and downloading it. Our world runs on energy, so that's where I start. Oil this week, West Texas Intermediate crude ended the week at $60.88. Brent ended the week at $64.53. OPEC baskets ended the week at $67.22. Gold ended the week at up quite a bit. Things are getting dicey, and I want you to remember that gold and silver are a measure of how well people trust currency, the fiat currency that we use. When the price of gold goes up, that means that people do not trust fiat currency, and we're seeing it rise now. It is ended the week at $3,886.80, and silver ended the week at $47.99. The Baltic Exchange Dry Goods Index ended down a little bit this week. It's been up in the above 2,000, around $2,000 to $2,200. This week, though, it dropped back to $1,901. U.S. bond yields, the 10-year bond yields for the United States, UK, and Japan. The United States ended the week at 4.121%. The UK bond yields ended the week at 4.6952%. And the Japanese bond yields ended the week at 1.6647%. As many of you know, the U.S. Secretary of War, which is kind of interesting because it actually needs I believe a congressional approval to change the name of the department to the Department of War. But for a long time we had a Department of War. I think it's just a name change. I don't think it's any huge deal, but the secretary that holds that position and that we currently call the Secretary of War had a meeting of the top brass of the U.S. military. The media acted like it was a cheering session for the administration. I don't believe that. I don't believe it was just them up there cheerleading and giving some directions. It was easy to see there would be side sessions with generals and the admirals to give them directions or find out how the generals are meeting their goals or not meeting their goals. I'm hearing rumors that there were a number of sessions that involved lie detectors. This is something that you would do if you wanted to remove any disloyal leaders, which would be important to do if you go into serious activity like combat. I believe this meeting was more geared toward rooting out any disloyal generals and admirals. And whether you agree with the activities of the leadership, I served under presidents that I didn't agree with, but we followed their direction. So if you're a general, you're an admiral that holds a position, and you don't agree with what the president is doing, you'd better be prepared to stand up for the right things. And if not, it's time to resign, time to get out. And I believe we're starting to see some of those resignations now. Another incident that happened, international incident that happened, 2 crew members of a Russian Shadow Fleet tanker were seized off the French coast, and this was on Wednesday, and according to prosecutors, for the western port, they were off the western French port of Brest. This is on the Atlantic Ocean. The tanker is suspected of being involved in drone overflights in Denmark, and the 2 detained crew members presented themselves as the ship's captain and first mate. The prosecutor said the preliminary investigation focused on failure to provide proof of the vessel's nationality and refusal to comply with instructions, for which the maximum penalty is 1 year in prison and €150 fine. Another sticking point, red line crossed. The U.S. president suggested that the U.S. may sell U.S.-made Tomahawk cruise missiles with a 1,000-mile range, and these can carry nuclear weapons, and he plans to sell them to Ukraine. So far, Ukraine has already been using shorter-ranged, 190 miles, ATACMS missiles, 300 kilometers. Russian officials were rather quick and blunt, issuing warnings that this is an escalation. I don't know how many more escalations we're going to go through before Russia decides to make a move. I know NATO is very concerned. I also know NATO does not seem to be wanting to ease tensions. They keep inflaming tensions, unfortunately, and neither side has decided to bring something to the table to be able to resolve the issue. So here we are staring down the barrels of machine guns again. And it will be Europeans that will be staring down those barrels, I believe, fairly soon. The ISR flights over the United States continue much as they have been. A lot of them all over the place. Southern border, northern border. Out west over the mountains, and we still see one over the south. Seems to be focused on Atlanta. This week, a significant number of refueling aircraft and cargo aircraft traveled to Europe and the Middle East. This is what would happen if they were preparing for some type of military action, or distracting us from some type of military action. This week I noticed I think we're down 3 ships in the Navy. We have 289 ships, 102 are deployed, 63 are underway. The USS George Washington was in Yokosuka, Japan. Gerald R. Ford is heading westbound in the English Channel, departing the North Sea. The Nimitz is operating in the Persian Gulf, as it has been for several months. The Harry S. Truman returned to Norfolk, Virginia on Friday, which would have been a week ago yesterday. USS Tripoli is in Sasebo, Japan. The Iwo Jima continues to be off the waters of Puerto Rico. It is also joined by the USS Fort Lauderdale and San Antonio. The USS America arrived in San Diego. European markets. This week, the DAX ended the week at 24,378.80. The FTSE 100 ended the week at 9,486.72. The CAC 40 ended the week at 8,078.28. The IBEX 35 ended the week at 15,585.10.10. The Russian president on Monday ordered the conscription of 135,000 men by the end of 2025. This is the largest conscription drive in 9 years for the fall conscription. Russia holds a biannual conscription drive of men aged 18 to 30, and they are all eligible for 1 year of mandatory service. During the autumn 2016 intake, the Russian president ordered the conscription of 152,000 men. In the 3 years since Russia began its full-scale invasion of Ukraine, it's drafted an average of 127 men every fall. So we're up a few thousand men from normal. The spring draft, the 2025 spring draft, called up 160,000 men, the highest number since autumn of 2011. And typically the spring draft is larger than the fall draft. The nuclear reactors at Chernobyl and Zaporozhye went dark after the Russians bombed them. This coming on 2 days ago, so on Thursday. Russia is also reportedly prepared to conduct acts of sabotage in Poland, Lithuania, and Germany using disguised explosives. With all of the destruction and activity, especially since Ukraine has targeted Russia's oil industry, the Russians' military budget shrinks as war costs hit the Kremlin's economic limits. There's less income, so they have less money to deal with. Moscow's provocation are in focus for as Germany's ambassadors visit Poland. This week at Octoberfest, there was a concern of a bomb threat in the local area at Munich, which I actually got to attend that many years ago. It was lots of fun there. There was a domestic dispute apparently nearby, and a bomb went off in one of the local neighborhoods. It was, like I said, it was totally family-oriented. Anyway, police were called, went in, investigated. There was one casualty, which I believe was the bomb maker. A new training center was opened for Ukrainian and NATO troops in Poland. The United States reportedly deployed submarine hunters to Norway, which is... this is to try to address the rising tensions in the Baltic region. Poland arrested the suspects of the 2022 Nord Stream gas pipeline explosion. EU leaders are backing a plan for a drone wall to counter Russia. I'll get into that in a minute. Lithuania extends closure of airspace along the border with Belarus. And Germany, talking about those drones, Germany shut down the Munich airport due to drone sightings. This was this past week on Thursday. It says that the airport reported that German aircraft control restricted flights starting at 10:18 p.m. on Thursday, suspended them outright because of several drone sightings. 17 flights from Munich were unable to depart, the airport said, affecting nearly 3,000 passengers. And additional 15 incoming flights were diverted to other cities. Belgium's defense ministry is investigating after 15 drones were spotted Thursday night over the Elsenborn military base near the German border, according to local media reports. There was an attack at a synagogue in Manchester, England. Left 2 people dead, 3 others hospitalized. This was Friday. What we consider the First Amendment, people's right to speak freely, continues to be under assault in the United Kingdom. This week, a 75-year-old grandmother was arrested for offering to talk to women who were seeking an abortion. She was holding up a sign that simply said, "I'm here to talk." The police found that terribly offensive and decided to arrest them. Of course, there are a number of things that they don't find offensive that seem to be, their priorities seem to be pretty messed up. Between Belgium, Munich, various other places, there are a number of drones that are flying over Europe, and it's the European leaders don't know exactly where they're coming from, going to. Germany and France have similar problems, and German and French leaders are stating that Europe is no longer at peace. Even if a big invasion scenario does not occur overnight, the continent is already sliding into wartime security footing. Sweden and Germany's summer measures show it. They're rehearsing for sabotage, espionage right now. For some time, Germany has been struggling. I laugh. I die laughing. Germany has a rather nationalist party. They're looking out for the German people, the German citizens. And the political class are deeply offended that the average worker would even think that they could be represented in politics. We have a similar problem in France, United Kingdom, and United States, pretty much all over the world. Nepal burst into flames, and I think they're still trying to establish themselves. Right now, the AfD party in Germany is being suppressed, but it looks like they're not going to be able to suppress them. They're not going to be able to hold them back for much longer. In fact, the AfD party is increasingly appealing to women. In opposition to the United States' support of Israel, Spain blocked an American ship carrying weapons for Israel. They blocked them from being able to make port in Spain. Estonia is to allocate $10 million for an initiative to purchase U.S. weapons for Ukraine. And Sweden, the last thing I want to cover on Europe is that Sweden sends anti-drone systems and radars to Denmark to support the summit security. In Asia, the markets. The Nikkei ended the week at 45,729.81. The SSE Composite Index ended the week at 3,883.13. Hang Seng Index ended the week at 27,120.70. The BSE Sensex ended the week at 81,198.60. And the Nifty 50 ended the week at 24,893.70. This week, several members of the Chinese mafia family were sentenced to death for over $1 billion in scams. This came out this past week on Wednesday. This news came out. India and China are to resume direct flights after a 5-year suspension. I didn't realize it had been that long. I know they suspended things every once in a while, but I guess they're trying to work out their issues. I think they're finding a bigger problem with the United States than they are with each other at the moment. Although I think that will also change, and it could change in a moment. China's president calls on the nation to firmly oppose Taiwan independence. Again, Taiwan says it will not agree to making 50% of its chips in the United States. Don't know where that leaves the United States and the chip makers, world chip makers, but we'll just have to pay attention and see. And I think we should also note that Taiwan makes chips that nobody else can make right now. Some of these chips are being made for a lot of American companies, but they do jobs that China can't do, India can't do, Europe can't do. And apparently, at the moment, they don't want to let the United States do it either. The United States activated a new drone squadron on North Korea's doorstep, so probably somewhere near Seoul. And North Korea vows that it will never give up its nukes in a speech at the UN. This week, on Monday, Iran voiced a very strong support for Hezbollah as Lebanon moves towards a disarmament plan. That would be very interesting because Hezbollah is very heavily integrated into Lebanon at the moment. The United States is planning on reducing its troop presence in Iraq and shift its focus to Syria, which I'm also still kind of surprised because I don't remember anybody ever talking about the United States putting troops in Syria. Yemen's Houthi rebels claim another missile attack on a Dutch flag ship this past week in the Gulf of Aden. And the Israeli Defense Forces destroyed over 1,000 buildings and killed 200 Hamas terrorists in Gaza City. And this according to Jerusalem newspapers. Iran has made statements linking the war with Israel directly with war with the United States in the event of escalation, and they've said this is not mere rhetoric. They've noted that Israel would not be able to conduct its operations without the support of the United States. And so, as they're calling it a tripwire, they said if Israel makes a move, Tehran is posturing to drag Washington in immediately. And that will change the way... that will change the international relations calculus all the way around. Turkey and Egypt will hold joint naval trials for the first time. Naval drills for the first time in 13 years. And Israeli military sources said 800,000 people have fled Gaza City. This is as the Israeli Defense Forces prepare for a new invasion, which I don't know what's left to invade. As far as I can tell, the pictures I've seen lately is that most of Gaza, especially Gaza City, are gone. Earlier this week, the White House unveiled a 20-point document calling for immediate ceasefire and exchange of captives held by Hamas for Palestinian political prisoners held by Hamas for Palestinian political prisoners by Israel, and this would start a staged withdrawal by Israel. Hamas disarmament is a requirement, and a transitional government, which would be led by an international body. On Tuesday, the U.S. president gave Hamas 3 to 4 days to agree to the plan. Palestinians they're looking to end this war, but they believe that the plan heavily favors Israel. And in previous negotiations, Hamas has insisted on a full Israeli withdrawal from from Gaza, and said it was seeking a permanent ceasefire with guarantees that displaced families can return to their homes, particularly in the north of Gaza. In Africa, Morocco in particular, anti-government protests in Morocco turned deadly, with 2 people being killed in a small town. This is on Thursday. And this is as a result of Morocco's youth-led protest for demands for better schools, hospitals, and the Prime Minister's resignation. In Nigeria, 12 forest guards were killed by gunmen in the north-central part of that country. In the Americas, the Dow Jones Industrial Average ended the week at 46,807.31, and the S&P ended the week at 6,715.82, and the NASDAQ Composite ended the week at 22,780.88. There was a 7th suspect arrested in a Argentine murder case where 3 women were killed during that. It was live streamed, and so far, it just sounds horrible. But 3 women were murdered, and that was live streamed. So far, they've got 7 suspects. Venezuela's president readies security powers in case of the United States attacking. The Venezuelan president is probably right. The U.S. president says he will look at going after cartels in Venezuela by land, which is interesting. The task force that are sitting off the coast, I'm not sure are sufficient to conduct operations other than small, short-term operations in Venezuela. But there was another strike on a Venezuelan boat, and Venezuela is prepared to declare an emergency after that strike and destruction of the boat. Canada's federal government has announced that a powerful and ruthless Indian gang, which uses murder, shooting, and arson to extort and intimidate the diaspora communities, Indians in Canada, has alleged links to India's ruling government. They have designated this group as a terrorist entity. Canada has accused Lawrence Bishnoi gang of possible involvement in the murder of a prominent Sikh activist and Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar. This was near Vancouver. I guess he was murdered near Vancouver. Public Safety Minister Gary, I'm going to butcher this name, Andasangari, said on Monday that the new designation would help allow officials to seize any assets of the gang within the country and give us more powerful and effective tools to confront and put a stop to their crimes. A 23-year-old from Greenbelt, Maryland, a guy by the name of Amir Philip Wilson, is accused of assaulting multiple NSA officers. Authorities say officers at checkpoint on NSA campus observed a vehicle that was operated by Wilson. Odd way of putting that. They saw Wilson drive the vehicle through the checkpoint without presenting the proper credentials. Law enforcement tried to stop him, but he'd accelerate to upwards of 40-50 miles an hour to try and evade officers. U.S. President said that he would be meeting with one of his leaders, the head of the Office of Management and Budget, to see which programs the OMD chief recommends to be cut. This is as a result of the current shutdown, the government shutdown. The White House has moved to pause or cancel billions in funding for projects in Democrat-led states this coming Wednesday, and ramping up pressure on the president's political opponents. The administration is also weighing layoffs of federal workers, which White House press secretary said are likely going to be in the thousands. Now I'm going to make a note real quick. We have needed to get a hold of the budget for a long time. We have had money going out to programs we don't even know. They're not being tracked, and even if they weren't, we still needed to get a hold of this money. We're putting the burden on our families, our children and grandchildren, and it's got to stop. We're spending more now on servicing the debt than we are our military. It's past time to do something about it. A popular rap artist, Ice Cube, recently his tour bus was set on fire, and the rapper says that a coward set the fire to the crew bus in Portland. He said everybody was upstairs sleeping. The supposition is that whoever targeted the bus thought that they had something to do with immigration enforcement. Canada's fertility rate hits a record low. ICE raided a Dallas strip club and netted 41 arrests. And they uncovered suspected human trafficking. And immigration arrest deportations likely to continue under the government shutdown, despite the government shutdown. This past week, recently was revealed that the FBI had far more people in the crowd on January 6th, 2021 than they hinted at earlier. Previously, they indicated that it was maybe a couple of dozen people. They weren't specific. Lately, it has come out, recently has come out that it was actually 274 people. Last week I missed a couple of people who were killed. There was a mass shooting at a casino in Texas. 2 people were killed in that shooting. Several people were injured. And the last thing I want to cover is that the administration plans to deploy 100 National Guard troops to Illinois. This... Actually, I guess the last thing I want to say is that I keep telling people to be careful, watch what's going on, pay attention, and hug your families, spend time with them. A lot of changes are coming, a lot of things are occurring, and it is going to be fast, furious, and ugly. We've had a number of shootings that have occurred, and a number of mass shootings and killings. Be careful where you are. Be careful what you do, what you say. Remember, it's better to walk away than it is to try to pick a fight and be right. Even if you are able to walk away from that situation, it's usually a pretty ugly situation. So be careful where you are, what you do. I hope everything's going well for you. Now I will do my quick description of my book, and I really hope that you guys are interested and that you'll decide to give it a listen. Give it a download and a listen. Again, the book's name is A Twisted Trade. The small kingdom of Commenda has ventured into the slave trade. The king looks to his most trusted advisor, Chimzei, to manage the rival tribesmen captured from the local countryside. As an entrepreneurial man, the king sees the wealth of his European contacts and realizes the potential of the trade. He seeks to increase his wealth and expand his kingdom, charging Chimzei with a mission. He dutifully follows the slave trade to the New World. What he finds makes him doubt his mission. The deeper he goes, the clearer the picture becomes. Cloaked in secrets, the reality of slavery is a legacy of violence, terror, and families torn apart. Can Chimzei resist the lure of money and power to stand up for the people? Can he convince others to give up the trade? What would you risk to be on the right side of history? Thanks again for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. I hope that you guys are doing well, and I look forward to talking to y'all again. Jeff Rains, over and out this week.